All right, so that was some of the worst movies that we have seen. That was this week's theme. And let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. This is
Movie news.
which I guess at some point we're going to have to edit that and say movie and TV news because we have both stories this week. But story one, though, Jai Courtney, who a lot of you guys might know from Spartacus, Blood and Sand, from A Good Day to Die Hard, from Jack Reacher.
Or I'm Frankenstein in my case.
This Paul is one of the 8 people that saw
Yes. 4 of them were in my cinema.
Jai Courtney has just recently been cast as Kyle Reese in the semi-pseudo-quasi reboot of Terminator entitled Terminator Genesis. He'll be joining Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones, who'll be playing Sarah Connor. And, oh Lord, what is that guy's name from Zero Dark 30? I forget his name, but he's playing John Connor, basically.
So just fill me in. I'm a little behind on this story. Is this like a real deal reboot? Or I mean, I know you qualified that with a lot of quasi semi.
I say all that because they're taking the Star Trek approach to things, to where time travel negates everything, which obviously, like in theory itself, that makes a lot of sense. So they're basically saying that this is a different timeline into which a different retelling of the first movie is about to happen, basically.
You know why that doesn't work, though? Is that the other Terminator franchise wasn't the whole foundation of that no matter what they do, the future turns out the same?
Oh, yeah, no, but that's entirely at the same point, though. The TV show validates the reboot, which in some ways I like. I hate this movie happening, but I like that it validates the TV show, because the TV show established the same thing, which is you can go back in time, you can change whatever you want, but like you said, Travis, doesn't matter. It's happening. But it's a different timeline, basically. So essentially, the robots are trying, the Skynet's trying again. It's a recreation of the first movie for all lack of, that's the best way to explain it. It's a retelling of the first movie, but it's going to go entirely different. No clue of whether Arnold is actually the bad guy or the good guy in this, because Arnold is in it as well.
Oh.
But that's the way we're supposed to be taking this, is that, yes, the other universe still exists, but this movie essentially will now become the main Terminator universe.
So like Star Trek.
Exactly.
Can I just ask, does this mean next film we're going to get Benedict Cumberbatch as Liquid Terminator? Because I'm down for that.
I second that.
I'm cool with that.
I mean, he can just not talk. I'll still be down with that.
They can call it all, like, anything they want. They can claim it's a reimagining or a different timeline or whatever. All this says to me is, I want some money. So here's my contrived BS reason on how this is going to make sense, so I can shill money at little kids. And I'll, like, when it turns into a PG-13 movie, that it'll just be proof.
Well, and we discussed this because, Phil, I don't know about you, but we've all discussed about how much we actually really did like Terminator Salvation.
Okay.
A lot of people knocked that film, and
a lot of people don't know what they're talking about.
Right. Like, I don't get it, because, for 3 films, we get to see, like, present day for us, basically, and, the Connors dealing with Skynet, and it was time to go to the future. It was absolutely time. The story made sense. It was a fun story. Granted, we've all talked about how the directing was very loose. It's the best way to put it now for that film, but the acting was strong. The story was strong in it. I do not see why we couldn't have gotten a sequel to that as opposed to what we're getting, basically.
I saw Terminator Salvation in the theaters. I enjoyed it. I'm definitely out of the loop on what you guys have talked about, but I'm not opposed to that idea.
We essentially said that, stay in the future. There's no point to go in the past anymore. I mean, how many times can you try to kill Sarah Connor or John Connor? Like, no, we're done with that. Let's stick in the future. We want to see Resistance leader John Connor be the guy he's supposed to be and dealing with Skynet. Like, a sequel was completely warranted. I mean, granted, it would suck to have Christian Bale's John Connor carry the entire movie.
Other than like that one scene in the river where like, they're casually talking and then all of a sudden he's all like, "What are you?" Oh my God. Like, calm down, man. We just determined that we're cool and why are you screaming at me?
He forgot which movie he was filming.
My thing here is like, that's bad directing. Like, that's bad directing and bad editing. Obviously, that was the director's choice to be like, I like this scene. I like this take. Because, as a method actor, he probably did several versions. And that was the one that, like, McG determined that he thought was fantastic. Well, McG is an idiot. Because I'm sorry that it was the most obscene part of the whole movie. What are you? Why?
Sounds like most Christopher Bale performance I've seen.
And am I the only one that was pissed off at that scene in like the sewer where it's like coming up behind him and he comes up through the water or whatever?
Like
it wasn't in the movie.
Yeah,
that scene looked awesome.
I about that before.
It looks awesome, and they didn't put it in the movie. What?
I think it's on the unrated version, but it's been a while since I've watched it. But
it's not in the director's cut. The only thing that's on the director's cut is like some boobies, and it's like a scene with some boobies, and that's it.
I'm there.
We all like boobies.
But it just like I do like. I'm not opposed to the casting of Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese though, because Michael Biehn was amazing as Kyle Reese, and Anton Yelchin did a good job with it in Salvation. Jonathan Jackson did a good job in the TV show, and I like Jai Courtney. I thought he was great. He's had some bad movies he's been a part of, but he's never been in my opinion, I refuse to see A Good Day to Die Hard, so I don't know how he was in that. But I know in at least Jack Reacher and in Spartacus, he was awesome. He was amazing in those films.
He was really good in Spartacus. I did see that.
Yeah. Did anybody watch A Good Day to Die Hard? Do we have any confirmation of whether he was bad in that?
Not here.
Look, like I said, all I've got
Not
is
directly, at least.
Poor Bruce Willis.
I like Die Hard, I really do, but I don't know. I wasn't running to see that movie because I don't want to have like an Indiana Jones 4 thing happen.
I'm sorry, but Live Free or Die Hard wrecked that for me. I don't know why people like that movie. That movie is shit. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Anyway.
Well, real quick, while we're still on the subject of John Connor, and Kyle Reese and everything, I think it would be really sweet with this Terminator reboot, preboot, whatever you want to call it, quasi thing. Get Michael Biehn to now play John Connor, because he already played Kyle Reese, but wouldn't you figure he'd probably look a lot like his dad? So have him play old man John Connor in the future. It would be awesome.
It would, but he's not. That's the guy I'm talking about from Zero Dark 30. Who,
you said he's quasi sort of playing John Connor, so I was like, is he just playing some John Connor type guy?
No, he is playing John Connor. It's
That's depressing.
Jason Clarke. Jason Clarke is who I'm thinking of now.
Oh, my uncle.
Yeah, that is who is playing John Connor. So that'll be interesting. But all right. Yeah, Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese in Terminator. So there we go. And recently announced, just fresh off the presses now here too, debuting during Olympic coverage, Heroes is returning to NBC next year with a 13-episode miniseries entitled Heroes Reborn.
What?
The series is not expected to focus on any of the former stars of the original show, but instead on an entirely new cast. But it is expected that previous cast members will make cameo appearances or be featured in at least one or two episodes of this event that's happening next year.
This sounds pointless. It doesn't sound, I mean, there's not much money in that franchise anyway. Why would they? And now they're bringing in new characters. I don't understand the motivation.
Yeah, if they're not continuing on from where they left off, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
That universe is a train wreck half the time, but really good the other half.
Whoa. Let's rephrase. That universe after the first season.
No.
I agree completely. The first season had a lot of potential when it ended.
Oh God, yes it did.
Truth be told, I liked all of the seasons. Like, I mean, I was never. No, seriously, I actually enjoyed season 2 for as much as like. But see, I'm grading it on a curve because I understand it was during the writer's strike, so I'm totally like forgiving of how rushed it was, how coupled together it seemed, because they didn't have the time. It's not their fault. Whereas, like, I really liked the third and the fourth season, so I really feel like I don't know. Like I was hoping that they would do a miniseries, but I now that I hear that it's going to be mostly new people, screw that. I'm not interested in that.
Well,
Yeah, Series 2 wasn't terrible. It had a lot of good ideas and a lot of good things going on about it.
I think the
Exactly.
miniseries has more potential because the limits are set there. You have a certain amount of time to tell a story, whereas with an ongoing, especially ongoing on NBC series about superheroes, the first season had the most potential because they had the chance to tell an origin story. The problem was every season they had to find a way to reset the origin story. So the heroes, sorry, I'll edit that out. The heroes, they lost their powers or changed their powers every season, and I lost faith. I just gave up.
It
They
was
didn't have to do that. They chose to do it.
You're right.
Yeah. It was
I-
really aggravating because it always felt like it's like he was saying after that first season, okay, we got the origins out of the way, so now we should maybe move to like another level of what they're doing. Like you're thinking after that first season, okay, these guys might actually form like a team or something.
Yeah.
No, they just nothing.
Yeah.
here's what I think, though. I do have this slight suspicion that this miniseries will take place during the first season. I have that in place because, we only saw a handful of these people. Granted, it was all over the world, but just because, we're focusing on the cheerleader, Claire, we're focusing on Hero, we're focusing on Peter and Nathan, doesn't mean that we've seen the stories of everybody else at the exact same time. And I think what you guys are saying are right. Like, it would be stupid to even do a story that picks up exactly, for what is it, 4 years since it's been off the air now?
Something like that.
Like that would be stupid, where there is no interest in that at all. So if they did it at the exact same time, I would be very much interested in watching something like that
When is this thing supposed to air?
next year.
Okay, so see, I was wondering if maybe they're not doing this to kind of piggyback off of the new X-Men film coming out. Because if you remember, the series ended with the not mutants, but basically mutants being exposed to
Claire
the
Alley.
public.
Yeah.
So, and the new X-Men movie is basically about them being hunted by the public with like sentinels and stuff. So, I'm wondering if they're not trying to kind of capitalize on what they think might be a popular trend at the time. But if it's a year later, probably not.
I just don't know how they kept it under wraps, because this actually came. I know, Phil, you were probably just as shocked as I was. This came out of left field. Like, there wasn't even rumblings. Like, I remember when the show ended years back, they mentioned stuff, but this came out of left field.
No, I wasn't expecting that at all. I was like, what? I saw you post it on Facebook, and that's exactly my reaction. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Heroes returns next year. NBC, 2015, Heroes Reborn. We will see how that works out. That is your movie news this week, folks. Let's go on to our next segment.